We are heading down to Hartford, and we've got a route of folks that we're going to see, and we're going to deliver lunches. And you want me to stick it up there?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I carried flood insurance for 35 years. And then I got so expensive we couldn't afford it, we dropped it. Then this happened.
It's amazing that, you know, the number of people that have been flooded that will say to me, you know, I'm okay. I want you to give it to somebody else.
Inside the walls, you know, it's all just full of, you know, this mud, you know, from the leftover water and stuff inside all the walls. And that's got to go, of course, or else it'll start molding and bacteria, and something you wouldn't expect to see in Vermont, I can tell you that.
There's a flood.
Yeah. I just think that we're fooling around with Mother Nature too much in general. I think Mother Nature's talking back to us.
I went to the basement to see how deep it was getting, and when I opened the door, there was just a rush of water coming in. The water actually got 4 feet deep in the living room. 2 weeks before this fiasco, my insurance company dropped my coverage because I got graphite asphalt siding, and they said they can no longer cover me. Hopefully this FEMA thing comes through. That's pretty much my only hope for any kind of future.
This is the now infamous whetstone. You'll see over there a flood marking. A week ago today, approximately at this time, this brook was up there and over there, over the 6, way over the 6. I invite you just to put your feet on the carpet, and you can hear it go squish, squish, squish.
Can you explain what happened?
Yes, the water came up so high that it just totally flooded not just the underneath, but into this area here. And yes, I did get flooded in here. And yes, I do have black mold on the ceiling like crazy. And do I think FEMA's going to help because it's not my main living quarters? Probably not.
The thing is with this park is most of these people, they lived on a limited income, you know, like a Social Security income. So this is really going to hit them hard, not knowing what to do next. This is our house at 43 Patterson Park. We've been here about 8 years with our 2 boys. The house is going to be gone. It's going to be destroyed, either towed out or destroyed. I'm hoping we can come back if the state allows the park to come back and just build new and start over. Yeah, I just did our last walk through, make sure everything was out. It just really brings up a lot of memories that we've, you know, been doing over the past 8 years with our kids. And so it's just hard. It's really, really hard to do it, to say goodbye to something that we've worked so hard for. Can you tell them that's our water level? Say that's Irene's water level.
So if you could imagine, there was like a couch there, and there was a couch here, and there was a coffee table, and there was an area of that was over there. I brought the propane in, or the thing for the grill, because I didn't want anybody to take it. But when we came back, the refrigerator was laying flat in the floor on its back. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I have this app on my phone. It's called WeatherBug. And what it does is it sends alerts for bad weather. And there were a lot of them. I called my sister and I said, we're coming over, and packed up overnight bags, and I went to my sister's home where I felt safe.
We were watching the river. I mean, well, she was. And then as soon as it got up past where it did in May, and started coming across the road into our driveway, we decided maybe we ought to get out of there. And By the time I got to the truck, I was up to my ankles.
I was on the phone with my daughter, you're talking about the storm, and she came down, she said the water was getting high. And then she said, I wonder if we should take our car up on the hill. And I said, yes, let's do it. By the time we got top of the hill, my husband came out of our trailer to come to meet us. He was walking in water to his knees.
I called my husband, he was out in Waitsfield, and told him about it. Then I ran up to my parents and told my parents about it.
I saw the water actually coming down Weston Street where I lived. And I grabbed my keys and I put my car up to the higher level at the end of the street, the extension. And as I was walking back, the water was already up past my ankles, and then the first step of my porch and the second. And
we stood there and waited to be rescued, and we was rescued in a bucket loader.
We waited in the rain for, it seemed like a very long time, and then we went out on a bucket loader in the bucket.
When we were standing there in the bucket loader for the operator to talk with people, you could feel the bucket loader just sliding.
The water was just so high, and it was very scary.
And I didn't know if we was in the road or where we was, because you could see just a little bit at the top of the cars. A lot of the windows were full of water. Water was way up to the windows. We was really terrified. I think that's why I was shaking, and they wanted to take me to the hospital because I could not stop shaking.
And then we got to Route 12 and got out of the bucket as fast as we could, because it felt just like the bucket loader was just sliding right off the road.
And I was afraid of people were going to lose their lives out of this, not only my husband and I. There was a lot of people in that park. I did not know if they got out or not. And a lot of them was our friends.
When I came down the hill, down to the trailer park, and all I could see was water everywhere.
I was trapped for nearly 6 hours. The water was inside my home. It was mid-thigh. I moved my photographs. Those were important to me. I obviously couldn't take all of those, so I laid them flat. I moved them up higher.
My daughter called me and said, have you been on Facebook? And I said, no, I've been busy. She said, look, your trailer is on there and it's flooded.
Well, I'm sure if I or anyone else had ventured into that water, we would have drowned. We would have been swept away.
It looked just like a lake. You could just see some of the trailers, only about half of them. And I was just stunned.
It was Colchester Rescue that got me out of there at 10:30 p.m. that night. And it was like a movie set I was approaching. There were all these bright lights, and there was the fire trucks and the ambulances and the National Guard and police officers, and they took me out, and I stepped on that dry land, and that's really when it hit me.
And so how did you feel when you saw that?
Awful.
Just like that. Your life destroyed. Kind of hard the first time we went back and saw it, but you know, we just got to work through it.
The yard was still covered with water and kerosene.
Kerosene.
You could see red all over the yard.
How much mud again? Would you mind showing?
Probably that much.
Out in the yard.
Out in the yard.
Mud, or was it, you were saying it had...
Oh, probably sewer
Mud
and everything
and kerosene, sewer. And inside we had probably that much mud. Plus 25 inches of water.
I just broke down Friday. It was full of mud. Everything just about was destroyed. And we went up on top of the hill and got my car, and we left, and I couldn't go back.
Hundreds of dollars in food hundreds of dollars in clothing. Makeup, you know, my makeup and things that I had in cabinets that I had built up, all gone.
We was under a lot of pressure because you didn't know from one minute to the next where you was going to lay your head.
Some folks I know were sleeping in their cars. One lady I know in the park actually stayed in the trailer a couple of nights because she had nowhere to go.
Shortly after, we got into my pickup and we headed to a motel.
My granddaughter had reserved a room for us, and I got up there and I put it on my credit card, and I said, "Why is it so high?" And she says, "Because it's a disaster."
They charged us $109 for that first night. And then the following night it went down, the following night after that it went down.
My daughter went down the next morning, and we got it, I think, for 60-something a night.
We says, "Why did you charge us so much the first night?" And they said, "Because you guys came from a disaster. That's why it cost so much for the first night."
You can't afford to stay in a motel room. So we had to put quite a bit up front to get the apartment. And it was quite an expense.
And how much are you paying for rent?
$750 compared to $320. Yeah, I'm paying $750 compared to $320.
And how much did the apartment that you were looking at today cost?
$700 with no heat or electricity. And it's it's a 2-room apartment.
The money will be coming out of our Social Security checks, which is going to lower, other things for us.
I make under $1,000 a month with my Social Security and my part-time job.
So $700 is a pretty big chunk of your income.
Well, yes. Plus you got to pay your utilities. Money is always tight, but it was doable. But now, holy cow.
What happens if we simply can't afford to get rid of our mobile home? Whatever money we get from assistance is going to go to starting our new lives. If we simply can't afford to dispose of it, what's going to happen? Are we going to get sued? What's going to happen in that aspect of it?
Right after the storm, there was a select board meeting. Rod and I went to it, but we don't think we got the answers that we needed.
Just about all of us went to the meeting because we needed information. We needed to know what was going on. We needed to know how to go about taking care of our mobile homes.
They really weren't helping us.
Did you guys go to the select board meeting, the very first one?
At the school?
Yeah, the one at the school.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
And what was that like for you?
Confusing, didn't learn anything different.
It was kind of just run around in circles. They were trying to beat around the bush.
Why do you think they were doing that, or why do you think they didn't?
I don't know. I see no reason. I said they didn't want to spend money.
I want to know who is going to pay to take that mobile home that no one can live in.
If you have flood insurance.
I do not.
If you do have flood insurance.
Many of us do not have flood insurance. Who is paying to remove it?
I don't have an answer for that.
The main concern was what was going to happen to the homes that we could no longer live in. Who was going to pay for the removal? And at that meeting, we didn't get any answers.
They have to be removed because no one can live in them. And the owner of the mobile home park, of course, is trying to get it up and running again. And he wants to make money, so he's going to make money off of us if we leave our mobile homes there. There was an individual there who had commandeered a whiteboard and wrote on it, buying mobile homes for $1,000 or taking them away for $4,500.
The older trailers, he wanted $4,500 per unit to tear down.
To some of us, that would be like asking for $100,000. Most people that lived there were on fixed incomes. A lot were elderly. It just wasn't feasible to do it that way.
And we got no information at that point from that meeting to even know that if this was a good deal or not. He bought several of the mobile homes for $1,000 and he's fixing them up and he's going to sell them for $20,000.
I do know that there were some people that paid out $2,000 or $3,000, and their homes were supposed to be completely removed. And some of these individuals came in and stripped off what they wanted and left the homes.
My fuel tank was stolen, and my heating vents under my mobile home were stolen.
And he said, well, seeing you guys are on Social Security, I'll make you a deal for $1,000 cash. And I heard today that he had turned around and sold it to somebody else for $1,500 that's got a daughter and they want to fix it up and live in it, and I don't think it's right. I wouldn't want my kids in there. With the mold and stuff, it's not safe. I think probably the reason she wants to live in it, she's probably desperate for housing. People are just so anxious to get into a home because winter is setting in that they're going to take what they can get and not look into it and not worry about the problems down the road.
The town didn't do anything. Rumors were running around that the town wasn't even going to pay for those big roll-off dumpsters to throw all the contaminated stuff into from our mobile homes, and they were kind of fighting it.
Other communities stepped up to the plate in Waterbury and Moortown and Dummerston, and the town officials came in and did a lot. There were fundraisers, and it just seemed that those in Berlin weren't even considered.
So we were here basically helping people just clean all their stuff out because it was all destroyed. And you'll see there's like random staircases around the park, and same with oil tanks that just got picked up and shuffled around and moved, you know. Like most people had like at least a few feet of water in their homes, and folks got no warning.
The Vermont Workers Center, people from there were coming down into the park and talking to residents and talking about what could be done, you know, how we could get officials that would listen. And so we organized and we spoke out.
There's been a lack of communication from the select board as well as other government officials that are supposed to be helping us. There's a gap in some of the communication between the different agencies, and there's a lot of inconsistencies. And so we're here tonight to try to organize, to get everyone together to figure out where everyone is, what we need as a community, and what we'd like to see moving forward.
A good number of us went to that meeting, and what a difference between meetings. It was so well organized. The people running the meeting were regular folks that either were from the mobile home park or families of people who lived in the mobile home park. It was us. It was us.
The problem is that all of us are complaining individually, and I think one loud thunder to the government to say, hey, we're here, you need to help us, is going to go a lot further than me complaining and you complaining and you complaining. If you're seeing something that you're not liking, let's organize, get together, make a thunder at them, and make them come in and do it.
It lifted my spirits. It gave me hope that I could maneuver this whole thing. That we weren't alone, we weren't all just floating out there on our own. And from that, we've had regular meetings ever since.
We, the people of Vermont, believe that our most vulnerable neighbors, those living at mobile home parks across the state, including many elderly and disabled Vermonters on fixed incomes, should not bear the whole cost of removing their destroyed homes or repairing damaged homes.
We call on our elected leaders to provide funds to ensure that these homes are removed or repaired safely, and that residents have a long-term place to live as soon as possible with winter approaching.
We live in the trailers because basically it's a cheaper way to live. We can't afford to spend $200,000 on a house.
Mobile home residents for Equality and Fairness. And the group came up with this name. It means that the mobile home park residents band together to be equal and have that fairness in how we are being dealt with. And it not only has to do with money, it has to do with respect, and it has to do with power. And because we formed this group, things have happened.
Means we all want to stick together, not just our park, but all the parks in the state.
And we figured maybe if we all stuck together, the word would get out instead of being put on the back shelf and not just forgetting about us.
Okay, well, my name's Steve Campbell, and I lived in Weston Trailer Park. Now, with you guys here, we were wondering if you guys would pledge your support by signing a petition that we have that will ask for funds to remove or help repair some of the homes and funds to help secure affordable long-term housing.
To who are you making that request? Is it to the state? Who's the petition going to go to?
It's going to go to, if you guys will sign it, we're going to take it to the state. And you were asking what the name of the group is. We have mobile home park residents for equality and fairness.
Okay.
You know, we're just asking basically for our wonderful government to stand up and do what's right. You know, just because we live in a trailer park, we're no different than somebody living in a $500,000 house. We just can't afford those houses.
Very well said. This might make...
Just one question. About the petition, is that something that you guys are interested in signing?
Would you mind just briefly describing what happened at that select board meeting when only one person signed that?
Well, that just really bothered me because, as I said right to them, we are not trailer park trash. We're no different than anybody else. The guy that did sign the petition, I know he came into the park. He was actually helping people take stuff out of their houses. If a lot of the other ones had gone into some of these trailers and seen the devastation, maybe they would have been a little bit faster on helping. It felt as though to me that they just didn't understand what we were going through.
We feel like we've been left out. We're desperate. You know, we're desperate. We don't know what to do. And with the fact that we had the flooding, which was very traumatizing, we can't make good decisions for ourselves right away when we don't have the information. And what we're feeling like is people are saying things without our input and promising us things, and we're not seeing any results from it.
But in terms of the issues that I know you're most concerned about immediately, which is how do we deal with the homes that have to be removed?
Yes.
And who's going to pay? Phil and others will have an announcement about that a little later than Monday, probably.
No one talked to us at all. It was a group that got together that thought they were doing a wonderful thing and very proudly came out with it, and shocked to all of us because we can't afford the $1,500. If you are the lieutenant governor, you've got money in your pocket, you have savings in the bank, and you can cover that very easily, but we can't.
The press conference that Phil Scott had was like, some people heard 15 minutes beforehand. We didn't know till 2 hours afterwards.
And what was that press conference about?
I think removal of the mobile homes. He was trying to get it for $1,500.
So that was about you guys?
Yeah.
But you weren't a part
But
of
no, we weren't, nobody was invited.
Nobody from, Trailer Park was invited.
And what about other meetings about where the money is going or what kind of help should be provided?
Really haven't heard about any.
Do you think that you should be?
Yes. Well, if the money's being raised for flood victims and we're flood victims, I think we all should have a say in how it gets divided up.
It just felt like just one more example of our voices not being heard at all. And not even just that, it has to do with not even considering that it's important for us to be heard.
Others in the state weren't even aware that we still had all these needs that weren't being met, and we were getting nowhere fast. And so we did have a press conference, and that really got the ball rolling.
What's happening in the papers especially is they're making it look like great strides are taken and things are really going good and everything is fine at Weston's Mobile Home Park, and it's not. Everything is the same. All the basic needs that people are having, they're having to maneuver this all by themselves.
My main concern is like the elderly people and little kids moving back in here until we're positive that there's no more contamination.
Lieutenant Governor made an announcement that they had negotiated the price of disposing of our mobile homes down to $1,500. And what we would like to say is, as I've said before, $1,500 to some of us would be like coming up with $15,000. We just don't have it.
We needed something big like that to happen to push officials in the right direction for assistance to come our way. They got a bird's eye view of what we were going through. And so that was key, really, in turning this around so that we benefited.
The forum tonight is on affordable housing, to try to get people into more housing before winter sets in, and try to remove our mobile homes and see if we can't get it done for nothing.
I'm speaking for 33 units in Glen Park, which is the senior park of Tri-Park in Brattleboro. The Little Whetstone Brook came up and took out 11 of those trailers. You will see dumpsters in the street. You will see a big pile of debris. You will see open-sided trailers with fiberglass.
After being displaced by Tropical Storm Irene, my neighbors and I have found that we are paying at least 3 times more a month for rent than we were living in our mobile homes. I do not have the income or the resources and fear having to pay an extra $700 a month for at least a year. I don't know where I will come up with the money to fill this gap. It may look like we have found a place and everything is okay, but we are definitely not okay.
I have been in a motel since this has happened at $2,400 a month. So that's $5,000 of my FEMA money's already gone for a motel. My son and myself were like anything at this point, so I can cook a meal.
You have to organize, like we have this here, this group. We are organizing. And when we get finished with this group organizing, we're gonna take the state and we're gonna get them organized also.
We have been waiting for 8 weeks, and it has been almost a month since the announcement of a plan for removal. But so far, none of our homes have been removed. What will you or your organizations do to make sure that there is immediate, tangible progress?
We have been successful in creating a program. I think some of you have heard of it, and we're certainly going to be broadcasting it a lot in the near future, to remove all the homes that are significantly damaged or destroyed still in the park at no cost to residents.
To clarify, is this statewide?
This is statewide for anyone in Vermont.
We would have just gone and licked our wounds and done the best we could, like we've always done, alone. But because we organized and we worked together and we ended up being successful, and the money was there for us and it was provided for us to have our mobile homes destroyed and taken away at no price to us.
We must acknowledge that Vermonters living in mobile home parks are often the Vermonters who are least able to deal with this kind of disaster. Many of us are on fixed incomes. Some are living paycheck to paycheck. We don't have a lot of money in savings, but we are your neighbors. We are state workers. We are grandparents. We teach your children. We check you out in the grocery line or the bank. We pay taxes and vote. We have families, and we have a right to housing and dignified lives just like everyone else.
And have you had an experience like that before of coming together with your neighbors? Or?
No.
No.
We've been there 3 years, and it's the first time we met a lot of them.
We all shared something equally in losing our homes. And so Hurricane Irene brought us together as a unit. And so together we spoke and we had our voices heard.
What happened during the flood and the aftermath of it pointed to a bigger problem which everyone has been facing for a long time. And it's not just one problem, it's a laundry list of problems. So we decided at one of our last meetings that we were not going to stop because those particular needs were met. We decided that we were going to join with the Workers Center to help in the campaign to put people first.
Has it become harder for you to make a living, have adequate housing, health care, food, education, or a good job because of the economic crisis?
Yes. They can't develop property in a floodplain, but you can have a mobile home park there. That's how we get affordable housing. So we're vulnerable.
Who here has had trouble paying your rent or mortgage, or didn't have any safe, adequate housing?
If we can just get the government from the state right straight up through to the president, we can get them to turn around and start saying, enough is enough, people need to be taken care of. Because without the people, we don't have no country.
We are now in a human rights crisis of epidemic proportions. We see the rates of the poor growing every day. We see masses of home foreclosures. We see needed social service programs being cut.
We actually have some folks here today who are survivors of the flood, who lost their homes in the flood. Sharon, who's back here, and Sandy, who's right here.
I have changed since this happened in a lot of ways. And one of the biggest changes is that I've become more myself and that my mind is clearer about and more aware of things around me that I can impact. Just by going through this flood and having to organize in order to get any kind of recognition or help showed me that I can do it and that I do matter. To get organized means to be heard and have power and have a say.
And all over the country, people are getting together today to voice what they believe in.
Who are the 99%?
I'm the 99%.
Since we organized our group, we have had all kind of coverage on TV, the radio, newspapers. Oh, yeah, well, to a degree, because they're used to doing the things that they're used to doing. And I think they have begrudgingly paid attention to us. They still do things behind closed doors. They still don't think there's any reason for any of us common folks to even be involved in the talks. Yeah, it's a nice start. It's very empowering. It's very empowering. And it makes me want to speak up and not shut up.
This is our chance. So used to doing it. 3 different colors.
It's been nearly 9 months of struggle towards recovery. We have done the best we can to access the resources that are out there to help us. We are noticing that there are roadblocks and obstacles that are keeping us from accessing it. That is why we are here today. We are announcing a relief fund that has been developed by us to meet the needs we know that may be popping up.
This experience, it helped to add to who I am. A little different flavor, you know. I always like being in the water, but not that much water.
Kitchen. Don't have quite furnished yet.
Well, I think it's helped me open up a lot because I always used to kind of stand back, wasn't very well heard or seen, and this has made me stand out, know that people do need to get together and help each other.
Is there anything that you particularly miss from the old, like any specific things that you really miss from your old house that you lost?
I can't think of anything specific, it's just everything in general. This isn't my home yet. Someday it will be.
All right. I think, is there anything else or you want to say about it, or?
Well, thank you for letting me tell my story.
Vermont PBS, partnering with local filmmakers to bring you stories made here. For more, visit vermontpbs.org.